Hi, everyone. It's Terry Virts here. I'm going to talk about the Jeffrey Epstein story today. And look, I'm not running for US Senate because I want to talk about these kinds of horrible things. This is a terrible story about a convicted sex trafficker of children connected to powerful men. And there are real victims, girls, of unthinkable crimes and abuse. And frankly, their story is too often overlooked. But today, I want to talk about why this matters from a different angle, and that's about honesty and trust. Because a lot of people are lying here. We all know that so many politicians and influencers in MAGA land have spent years feeding conspiracy theories just so they can gain political power from all the attention they get. And look, the plain truth is that this entire administration is built on a foundation of lies. Donald Trump himself built his brand by trading in conspiracies. The Russia hoax, the election was stolen, Obama's birth certificate, the list goes on. And he's actively invited some of the internet's worst people to his coalition. Laura Loomer flies on Air Force One and helps decide who gets fired in this White House. But now this tide is turned, and Trump feels very threatened by this obsession with the Epstein story, the story that his own supporters have been fueling for years. Not long ago, Trump talked about releasing the Epstein files. Now he sounds like this.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
MAGA is melting down. Trump is even calling his own supporters who are pushing for the release of this Epstein client list weaklings. And with all the maturity of a toddler, he now says he doesn't want their support anymore. He's calling it a hoax. Well, spoiler alert, when Trump calls something a hoax, it means it's real. And now he's asking conservative influencers to back off their calls for the truth.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend.
The thing is, you can't have it both ways. MAGA used these conspiracies to get themselves into power, and now they're saying it's a hoax? Should we believe February Pam Bondi, who invited influencers to the White House to pick up binders breathlessly titled The Epstein Files Phase 1. That Bondi who said,
"It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump."
Or do we trust July Pam Bondi, changing her tune and saying that a client list doesn't exist, and then releasing video as evidence? Video that was missing 3 critical minutes. And this person is in charge of the Justice Department? Maybe it's Kash Patel who's lying, who before becoming FBI director was showing up on podcasts and badgering members of Congress to, quote,
"Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are."
Is it Patel's deputy, Dan Bongino, who, before he was the #2 guy at the FBI, was a right-wing podcast host? And he used to say stuff like this.
That Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this.
I'm not bringing all this up because I want to connect red strings and pick apart the case myself. I'm not the guy from the meme. I'm bringing it up because this is what you get when your political movement is built on a foundation of lies, and when you put liars into some of the most important jobs in our government. Look, it's outrageous that Texans can't even trust the Attorney General or the FBI director. When John Cornyn voted to confirm Pam Bondi, he said she had, quote, demonstrated a clear commitment to restoring trust and integrity in institutions like the Department of Justice and the FBI. And nothing is farther from the truth. When Cornyn voted to confirm Kash Patel, he called him, quote, a patriot who exemplifies the American dream. And he understands that the rule of law is what makes America an exceptional nation, unquote. John Cornyn knew that wasn't true, and he said it anyway. Is this what restoring trust and integrity looks like? Of course it's not. But it's what we're getting because the MAGA fanatics who peddled this garbage for years are now being eaten alive by it. Which brings me back to why I wanted to talk about this story in the first place, and why I'm raising my hand for this job to represent Texas in the United States Senate. Because we don't have to accept politics that makes us feel this gross. And I won't accept our government lying to us. I promise that I will do the hard work of rebuilding trust in government and in each other. I've spent my entire career in the military and in the space program working in the service of one thing, this country, working alongside people who also share that same commitment. I have seen firsthand how much better things can be. I've lived it. And I can't wait to bring that perspective and commitment to all Texans. As your senator, it's time to speak truth to power.